Donald Trump has once again shocked the world, this time by pointing directly at Canada's water. He called it a giant faucet and hinted America may no longer stay patient while its northern neighbor controls what he says is the most valuable untapped resource on the continent. Welcome to Geo Politics Daily. In today's report, we break down the growing tension between Washington and Ottawa over water, from the Great Lakes to the Columbia River Treaty. Why is Trump demanding Canadian water? What's at stake for both countries? And how could this shift global politics? Let's explore. The Great Lakes are more than just a natural wonder. Shared by 8 U.S. states and Canada's Ontario, they supply drinking water to 40 million people. The lakes fuel tourism, fisheries, transport, and manufacturing. Economically, the region would rank as the world's third largest economy if it were a country. That's why Trump's threat to revisit the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement raised alarms. The pact, signed decades ago, was meant to protect water quality and ecosystems. Trump, however, has hinted the U.S. may no longer honor it, arguing that America needs guaranteed access before Canada shuts the tap. In fiery remarks, Trump described Canada as a giant faucet. He suggested Washington would not wait while millions of gallons flowed and used into oceans or rivers. For him, water is no longer off-limits in trade or diplomacy. By framing it as a national security issue, he appealed to American farmers, industries, and voters struggling with droughts and wildfires. His message was blunt: Canada can share water willingly, or America will find ways to bypass it. This shift was dramatic because water has always been treated as untouchable in U.S.-Canada relations. Trump shattered that tradition in one stroke. Beyond the Great Lakes, Trump spotlighted the Columbia River Treaty. Signed in the 1960s, it governs flood control, hydropower, and water supply. The river starts in British Columbia, then flows through Washington and Oregon before reaching the Pacific. Negotiations for a modernized treaty had made progress by 2024, but Trump froze the process, claiming it was unfair to America. Experts say this freeze gives Washington leverage, since U.S. industries rely heavily on the river. Trump's warning that the faucet can be turned off rattled Ottawa, raising fears the U.S. could cut Canada out of benefits it currently enjoys. Scholars from McMaster University and the University of Calgary warn the political cost of tearing up these agreements would be immense. Yet, they admit the U.S. demand is fueled by real concerns: population growth, agriculture, and tech industries all require secure water. Even supercomputers in Silicon Valley depend on water cooling. Canada, with its smaller population but massive reserves, appears well positioned. Trump sees opportunity, Canada sees sovereignty at risk. The clash, experts argue, is less about friendship and more about leverage. If Ottawa resists too strongly, Washington might explore costly but possible alternatives like large-scale water diversion. The numbers highlight why this issue resonates. The Great Lakes economy alone contributes nearly $9 billion in wages to the U.S. and accounts for 35% of Canada's GDP. Hydroelectricity, shipping routes, and fisheries depend on stable agreements. Trump frames access to Canada's water as an economic win. His critics in Ottawa say Canada risks exploitation, pointing to natural gas sales where the U.S. buys cheap and resells at a premium overseas. Farmers in Canada's prairies, however, wonder if refusing cooperation means losing billions in trade. The debate is not just environmental, it's about jobs, markets, and growth. The controversy didn't stay local. Headlines in Europe and Asia framed Trump's demand as a turning point: water elevated from a domestic issue to a global commodity. EU officials, already wary of dependence on Russia's energy, hinted at possible talks with Canada on water access. China, facing its own water shortages, quietly took note. Analysts warned that if Canada won't sell to Washington, other buyers may emerge. Suddenly, Ottawa's refusal looked less like strength and more like vulnerability. Trump positioned America as decisive, while Canada appeared defensive, risking its alliances and possibly inviting outside powers into the equation. Inside Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney's firm refusal quickly turned controversial. Opposition leaders accused him of walking away from a potential deal of the decade. Prairie premiers hinted at pushing for provincial authority to negotiate water agreements themselves. Farmers demanded answers, fearing missed opportunities. Carney framed his stance as protecting sovereignty, but critics argued it made him look weak against Trump's pressure. Analysts noted a pattern: Canada sells natural gas to the U.S., which resells it at higher profits abroad. Could water follow the same path? The political cracks in Ottawa widened as Trump's bold play dominated the narrative. So, here's the reality. Trump has transformed water into a geopolitical weapon. For the United States, it's about securing growth, agriculture, and industry. For Canada, it's about protecting sovereignty and identity. But in global politics, refusing may be just as dangerous as agreeing. One thing is certain, this story is far from over. If you want to keep following how this water dispute reshapes international relations, make sure you subscribe to Geo Politics Daily and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.